chooses to rely upon the Father.
If you're God to begin with,
You're God to begin with. Okay.
are you ever living? Or you're only temporarily living your life?
Ever living.
Ever living.
Always existing.
Can you choose to exercise your will and die, not die, cease to exist tomorrow, and you're no longer God?
No.
Why not?
You're God.
Sorry?
It's impossible. If you're
Why is it impossible?
Eternal life.
Why is it
You
impossible?
can't discontinue yourself.
Why is it impossible?
Impossible for you as a being, as eternal.
So you're saying, if God is eternal to begin with,
Right.
and everlasting,
Right.
then it makes no sense to then say he can cease to exist, because that contradicts everlastingness. Yeah? Everlasting means you'll be always there. So if you're everlasting to begin with, you cannot cease to exist, because that goes against the concept of everlasting. If you're all knowledgeable to begin with, can you be less than knowledgeable later?
I see what you're saying.
The answer is no, right? The answer is no. You can never be less than knowledgeable.
But that's not factoring in the Trinity.
Please.
And that's why.
If you are knowledgeable, you, whoever you are, if you call yourself Alpha and Omega, let's say you are Alpha and Omega, that's who you are. If you are all knowledgeable, then you can never become ignorant, even for 1 second, or a fraction of a second, or a millionth of a second. You will always remain all knowledgeable. The fact that we have a person in the Bible called Jesus Christ, we believe he is the mighty messenger of God, a servant of God, a slave of God, but of course a creation of God. If you believe this Jesus Christ, we believe. So when you believe this individual is God, you believe he's all knowledgeable. But he says, I don't know the future. Then you have to now really come to a conclusion. Do I believe he's an ignorant God? Or do I believe he's not God? Because you have no other choice. You cannot believe he's God, because if you affirm God is unknowledgeable. He says, I don't know the future, I'm ignorant of the future. So I can never be God to begin with. Because if I was God to begin with, I will always remain all knowledgeable. So Philippians 2, which says, he humbled himself, made himself nothing, that is exactly telling you that he was not God to begin with. Because God can never...
Dwelling and emptied himself to become like a sinful man.
My friend, God, if he's all knowledgeable, can he become ignorant for 30 years?
If you, as being as a child, right, you have to learn how to walk, you have to learn how to talk, you have to learn how to do all the functionality of a human life, right? Jesus, he put himself in the form of a human so that he would go through everything that we go through. It says in Hebrews that he's a sympathetic high priest, which means that he knows everything we go through. That means anything we experience, he's experienced, and we can approach him in that way.
But you know what you're doing? Instead of addressing the key question that we're discussing, you're talking on the periphery, everything else. We need to really discuss this issue. Jesus himself admits. No, Jesus himself admits.
You've been having a dissertation for about 10 minutes. No. I'm going to answer it.
Before you answer, can you answer this statement of Jesus? He says he don't know the future. He doesn't know the future.
He never said that.
What did he say?
That's one particular passage.
Okay, what did he say? In that one particular passage. What did he say? What did he say in that one particular passage?
He said, no man knows the day or the hour. And he's referencing his second coming. And do you know why? Because it's going to be on the Feast of Trumpets. Jesus fulfills each feast day in the Jewish calendar. Can you finish that statement before you go talk about the periphery? Okay, it's not the periphery. This has to do with it.
But you haven't finished the statement of Jesus Christ.
Because you can't generalize what it's
contextual. Can you make that statement? What is the statement he made? Let's understand the statement.
No man knows the day or the hour, of the angels in heaven, not even the Son of Man, only the Father.
Slow down. You're being super fast, you're missing the point. So, of that day and of that hour knows no man. No one knows, right?
Yes.
Not even the angels in heaven. Not even the Son. But only the Father. So, when he says, but only the Father knows,
right?
Can he know as well?
No, only the Father.
Only the Father knows. So if only the Father knows, can the Son know as well? But he says no, right?
The Father's going to let the Son know.
Wait. Before you say, Father, let the Son know. If only the Father knows, from that statement, what do we understand? We understand the Son doesn't know because he also says that.
The Son doesn't know because he chooses not to.
Please, before you say he chooses otherwise, let's agree on the facts of that statement.
Are you familiar with the passage where it says the Son only does what the Father is doing?
Excuse me. You're not dealing with the statement.
I am
right?
dealing with it.
The statement is, there are certain things we can derive as facts from that statement. Okay. According to Christ, only the Father knows of the hour, when the future is going to be unfold, right? When the world's going to come to an end. Only the Father knows. if only the Father knows, can anyone else know? From that statement, the way it's been constructed, the answer is no one else know. No one else can know that, right? So the only the Father knows means the Holy Spirit doesn't know, the Son doesn't know, only the Father. If the Son doesn't know, you are now going to explain how is it possible for someone like the Son who was all knowledgeable to begin with, then becomes ignorant of something when he was all knowledgeable.
It has to do with from the dawn of time, as we know it. That's never been known to him.
So you have a God who isn't all knowledgeable.
He is all knowledgeable.
No. Jesus Christ is a God who is not all knowledgeable.
Jesus Christ is part of the Godhead.
Jesus Christ himself, does he exist? Good. Is he in existence by himself, or is he dependent on someone else for his existence?
Here's the thing, man. You're just trying to get me to say that Jesus Christ or God...
No. You see what I mean? I want you to really reflect on this, because as a Christian, you know Muslims have a difference of opinion about Jesus Christ.
Right.
Because we say, you have insulted God and insulted our messenger Christ by elevating him from what he is and elevating him to the station of deity. So now we need to reflect on our differences.
Actually,
so you have
that's not true.
the question. Okay, the question I'm asking is simple.
Okay, wait one second. When Thomas saw the resurrected Christ, when he saw Jesus, and Jesus took him, put his fingers in his hands, and the holes in his hands, and in his side, he got on his hands and knees and said, "My Lord, my God." Did Jesus tell him, "Don't say that"? That's
very good.
blasphemy.
Very good. Let's return to the subject of discussion, and we'll come back to the Thomas statement. Because all you're doing so far, you're going to everything else apart from that discussion. So is Jesus' existence dependent on someone else, or he independently exists?
He independently exists within the Godhead. Okay? Him and the Father are one.
Jesus is an existent entity.
Yes, always exists.
He exists without the need of a Father or a Holy Spirit of Tom, Dick, Harry, Paul, whoever. Is that right?
That's untrue.
So Jesus' existence is contingent, dependent on someone else?
That's like saying you without a spirit doesn't exist.
If I exist, my existence either dependent on something else or totally independent of it. Jesus is an existent entity.
Right.
He's a person. He has life.
Right.
That life that possesses, this entity that possesses life,
Right.
either he possesses his life by himself without being dependent on anyone else, or he's dependent on someone else. Which one is it? There are two options.
As far as I'm aware, they are dependent, but it's in the nature of the Trinity.
So you have a God who exists on dependency on someone else.
By nature.
It's called vulnerability.
Let's understand something. You have a God, he cannot exist by himself.
He exists in community.
But so
God. A concept of God, like Christ, he cannot exist by himself.
But
That's what you're telling me. He cannot exist by his...
separate the Father from the Son from the Holy Spirit.
yeah, you're using God as if it's one when we're talking about three persons.
Yeah.
Is the Father dependent on the Son, which came before him, right? The Son came before him?
No, it's in their nature that they're all coexisting.
Let's understand something.
As one together.
Define Father and Son in the Trinity. What do you mean by Father and Son?
So, like, I'm not a Christian. I'm looking into all this stuff. I don't have the correct language and terminology and understanding.
Then I'll revert back to him.
But I was going to say,
okay, go ahead.
My understanding is that they are co-eternal. So it's in their nature they're always three.
And it makes no sense of a word Father and Son. So you should rather say true twins, right? So explain to me, in the Trinity, why is one the Father of the other and the Son of the other? What do you mean by Father and Son in the Trinity? When they're co-eternal.
It has to do with their relationship and how they interact.
So the Father can be the Son, right? If you wanted to.
The Father can be the Son?
Yeah.
No.
So what do you mean? What do you mean the Father is the Father and the Son is the Son?
The Father
who
is the
proceeds
one,
from who?
Father is the one with...
Sorry, I have to excuse you. You're not a Christian. So let's get a Christian who believes in what he believes. You're trying to search, maybe you can find out from him. In your belief, the Father and the Son, right? Who proceeds from who? Really? So all your church fathers, when they formulated the creed, the Son eternally proceeds from the Father is actually false creed. All of, whether it's a Nicene Creed, any creed that comes afterward, they're all, you just throw it under the bus.
Jesus is the incarnation of the Father.
Sorry. Your church fathers, who happens to know more than the Bible, more than you, than you know the Bible, do I assume that?
Could be true, yeah.
Could be true. They formulated the creed, right? And they believe that the Son proceeds from the Father.
Right, okay.
I would say, forget that. Maybe it doesn't. Okay, so now, what do you believe? The Father and the Son existed.
He proceeds from the Father in the fact that he came from heaven.
Before the universe was created, did the Son ever proceed from the Father? Or the Son always...
He's always existed within the Godhead.
Okay. So the Son existed by himself.
Yeah, well, not by himself.
Did the Son exist being dependent on someone else?